I'm not a filmmaker, I'm not a video editor, and I wouldn't call myself an AI expert, but in this video, I'm going to show you how I created this commercial for my agency using Google's new video generation model, VEO3.
You sent them 112 leads, and they still decided to leave?
Your Honor, they were trashed!
To be honest, I thought more leads was enough.
You sent 112 leads, but tracked none of them?
Where's the appointments, Liam?
This is ridiculous.
He didn't even track CPL.
Your Honor, my client wants to leave his agency. Your Honor, don't blame him. He didn't know about the 4 metrics.
Now, this is going to be a very raw video where I'm going to take you through the whole process from start to finish of actually creating one of these tutorials. We'll be going over how I create the idea for it using ChatGPT, how we'll create an actual individual prompts, how we're generating these different videos with audio, and how finally we put everything together in something that's actually usable, something that you can run as an ad or something you can plug into your YouTube videos depending on kind of where you want to put it. I personally think this is a really amazing tool. When it first came out, it blew my mind, and to be honest, I probably spent a bit too much time on it. So hopefully this video is a way that I can continue to play around with it while giving you guys some content and some insights into how I'm using this, but also how other people in this agency space are using these tools to create these ads for their agencies and their clients. So let's get straight into it, guys. The first thing you need to do is create an account. Now, in this case, I'm going to be using Flow for this, which is basically where VEO3 is housed at the moment. Now, when I first got access to this last week, which was when it first came out in the UK, it was only available on the Ultra plan, which is, I think, is about £125 a month, something along those lines. So I went and actually signed up, and based on that, I got about 12.5k credits, which is all right. You can play around with it for sure. But I do believe in some countries, VEO3 and Flow in general is also available on just a basic free plan, which gives you 1 month for free. So depending on kind of where you are, it may or may not be available. So just go to labs.google tools Flow, or you can just search up Flow on Google and I'm sure it'll show up. But in this case, we're going to be using Flow for all of our different kind of scenarios and scenes we're going to be building. Now, in this case, the platform itself is pretty simple. As you can see, we have different projects, and within these different projects, we have different prompts, which is where they're basically stored. So for example, if I go to the example that maybe one of the examples that you saw in the introduction of this video, you can see in this project, I got all the different prompts for that specific example. Now, at the time of recording this right now, VEO3 isn't the best thing in the world. It's gone a lot better. And one thing that's important to say in this video, guys, is by the time you're watching this, hopefully there have been some changes to Flow and VEO3 in general. And a lot of things that we are slightly limited by, you might not have an issue when you're watching this in the future. So keep in mind in that, I mean, they're updating things very rapidly, even in the short time period that I've personally had access to this, which is literally, just about a week now. They've updated some things that were quite big changes, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So just keep that in mind. But by the time you're watching this, a lot of the things I might be talking as limitations or just general features that I'm talking about right now might not be there, and hopefully it's gone better. But right now, within kind of the scene builder, right, we can obviously generate a prompt, and we have a couple different ways we can do that. We can do text to video, which is where you write a prompt and it generates a video. We can do frames to video, which is where you add a frame, which is basically just a snapshot basically of what it looks like, and from that I use that as a starting frame for the next video. And then we have ingredients to video, where you can add in specific images, and then it will include those specific characters or people in the rest of the prompts. Now, at the time I'm recording this, at the moment, for VEO3 specifically, which is what we need to generate this audio, for example, like this actual audio, the only thing we can use is text to video. For example, if I try use ingredients to video and I add a specific character, so this guy for example, and I try create a funny scene just as a very basic prompt, you'll see if I select VEO3, it'll just go ahead and tell me that you need to switch models because it's not compatible yet. And as you can see, it will switch me back to VEO2. Same exact thing if I go ingredients to video, if I try add a specific scene, and once again I change this to VEO3, it will automatically just switch me back to VEO2 quality, because at the moment you don't have access to this. Now, this introduces a bit of problems because it means that we can't have character or scene consistency across different scenes. And when we get to that stage where we're actually creating these ideas in a second, you're going to see how I purposely tell the kind of script writer to include a lot of different characters, not to use the same characters again. Because one of the current limitations with VO3, and hopefully once again by the time you're watching this they would have updated it, they actually released kind of a little statement saying that they're really working on it. When I say they, I mean Google. But one of the limitations right now is that there's no consistency of characters and scenes. There are a couple ways around that, such as describing the same character in a prompt or describing the same background in a prompt. However, it's never going to be the same. It's not like using the exact same character over and over again, the same way you can in VO2, which once again is still a video generation model, but the quality isn't as good. And the most important part is that there's no audio, which to be honest is the main selling point of V3, the ability to actually generate audio. So in this case, we're limited to text to video, and that's what we're going to be using for the rest of this video to actually generate these different scenes, text to video. So we're going to add a prompt, just like this one, for example. This prompt right here generated this video.
I was blind when it came to client success. Now I see.
Which as you can see has audio and video from prompt. Last thing to go over is VO3 fast and VO3 quality. Now when VO3 first came out, at least when I first got access to this, it was only quality, which cost about 100 credits per generation. You can imagine playing around with this, that can get very expensive because a lot of these outputs, they're not really usable, right? You have to probably prompt it a couple of times to get at least something that you can begin using. But thankfully they recently released this new model, which is VO3 fast, and this is much faster. This is only 20 credits for every kind of prompt in generation, which is a lot more usable. When I first got access to this, I ran through around 2,500 credits in a space of an hour. And now in a space of 4 days, I'm playing around with it for a couple of days, I've really run through 1,700. So it's definitely a lot more affordable. I mean, more specifically, 5 times more affordable. So that's what we're going to use them for the rest of the model. So guys, now you got a bit of understanding of how you can use VO3 and kind of the in-depth about that. I'm not going to go over how to sign up and how to set up all of that stuff. You can figure it out by yourself. Let's go over how we're actually going to be creating the idea for this specific commercial, right? Which is basically just an ad for my agency. Now, in this case, we're going to be using ChatGPT, right? And what we're actually going to be promoting is my free community. So if you guys don't know, I run a free community on School. It's basically a hub for all of my different resources. So for every single one of my YouTube videos, I include resources such as automation templates, different GPTs, specific scripts, or even Google Sheet templates, all directly within my community. We also have our scale-proof roadmap, which is basically a step-by-step guide on how we help agencies set up scale-proof systems. And lastly, we have a community of about 285 different established entrepreneurs. Now, this isn't a sales pitch. However, I want to make it clear that this is what we're going to be creating a commercial for. It's not going to be anything too crazy, but this is basically what I'm going to be creating a commercial for. And it's what I'm going to be guiding ChatGPT to create some sort of funny skit slash commercial that we can plug into YouTube videos. Maybe halfway through this YouTube video towards the end, you'll get sold and actually join the community. So guys, let's go back to with ChatGPT, and this is kind of where I'm going to be using to generate my different scenes, or I guess my storyboard for this specific commercial. So the first thing I did here is I basically gave a bit of context as to what I was trying to do. So I said, hey, I want to create another commercial video using VO3, new video generation model. This commercial will be to advertise my free community scale-proof hub. Ask me some questions to get better real what the community is about. Now, you don't have to do this, right? But the only reason I did this is because I wanted to give AI a bit more context as to what I'm actually trying to achieve here. And in this case, what I'm trying to achieve is advertising my free community. So basically, I asked it to ask me some questions. It did ask me some questions, and I went through and answered each of those individual questions. Now, once I went ahead and actually understood all that, I then asked it to create a couple funny skits. Now, in this case, I didn't want it to create the actual detailed step-by-step breakdown of each individual scene. All I'm looking for is different ideas, and then we're going to be taking those ideas and actually expand on them. So the prompt here was very simple, guys. Once again, I wouldn't even recommend you copy these prompts directly because you can do a lot better than this. I wouldn't call myself a prompt expert, but this is just what I use and kind of what worked for me. So in this example, I said, hey, give me some funny concept of skits we can use to advertise the community, which once again, it has context on what the community is thanks to those questions and questions I asked earlier. And let's give it a bit more kind of context. So the final commercial shouldn't be longer than 40 seconds to 1 minute. It should have a range of different characters and locations. Once again, that's because of the lack of consistency that VO3 is kind of limited to. And I'm just making sure that it's funny. And the whole goal of it is to get someone to check out the free community. So from that, I basically went ahead and actually generated some scripts. So we can kind of go over this one by one. From this, we'll basically be selecting one, and then everything from this point is going to be completely live. We're going to be choosing one of these ideas, and we're going to be bringing it live using VO3 and then putting everything together in a free video editing tool to actually make it usable. So let's go through these examples one by one. I haven't really seen these. So we have the agency ER, emergency room for broken backends. This is not bad, to be honest. I think it could be quite a funny idea. So we'll definitely save that one. Agency support group, I think it's a good idea, but I've done it in the past before, so I don't want to rinse the same idea again. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and skip it. Backend exorcism. This is not bad. I like the backend exorcism, to be honest. I think that could be quite funny. And I've already thinking of a couple of scenes that the characters could say, which we can use. The only problem here is that it might be hard to generate the same priest over and over again, if that makes sense. So I think I might skip out on that one just because we don't want, once again, the character consistency is a bit of a problem, right? And if we have a scene where we need to use the same priest over and over again, there will always be differences in how that priest looks. So I think I'll skip that one for now. The courtroom, I've already done that one. Pitch room gone wrong. No. Agency Olympics. I think this is a good idea. I think I actually explored this one in the past. However, this is quite complicated and I don't want to make this video too long, so we're going to skip this for now. And the intervention, which is all right. No, I think I'll leave this one as well. So I think I'm probably going to go for the agency ER, the emergency room for broken backends. So I'm just basically letting know that I've chosen that specific idea and I'm asking it to generate a storyboard or a scene by scene breakdown for this concept. So we'll wait until this kind of loads up. I already have a couple of ideas of how we're going to do this, but I want to first see what it kind of spits out and then from there we can kind of see. So scene one, emergency entry, ambulance bay, sirens blasting, paramedic yells. We've got a back end collapse, 6 SOPs missing. That's not bad. I think that's quite funny. That's not funny. I think it's probably too specific here with the Google Sheet, but once again, we kind of meant for it. All we're doing right now is trying to generate a story, and obviously from that, we're going to generate the clips as well. ER chaos, ducks in Russian panic. What's the churn rate? That's not bad. I think this is quite funny, to be honest. Senior doctor steps in. Oh, you know what? This is not bad. This is not bad at all, actually. And to be honest, to avoid making this too complicated, we're just actually going to go for these exact scenes step by step. There are certain things I'm going to change, and there are certain things that we're going to kind of amend just to prevent making this too complicated. But for now, let's go ahead and get started with scene one and actually generating it. So the way I've been doing this, guys, is I found this GPT for free in the GPT store. Feel free to check it out. I basically just searched within the GPT store, top VEO3 video prompt maker, and this was the one that had the most reviews. And all I'm basically going to do is I'm going to copy the specific scene that I want to generate. I'm going to add it over to this tab over here, and I'm basically just going to amend it slightly, and then from that, it's going to go ahead and create the scene and describe it the way that VEO3 kind of wants it. So in this case, everything here looks good. Sirens blasting, paramedic yells, camera pans the agent on over stretcher, delirious and holding a broken Google Sheet. I think I'll probably remove this bit. We'll just keep the agency owner there. I would want something to kind of signify that they're an agency owner. But for now, we'll start with this probably and we'll kind of see how it goes. But for now, I guess we can see this. I think I just want to add a bit more context. So at this point, we can say they're getting off the ambulance. So they are like that. And now it's going to generate a initial prompt for us. And we're able to use that prompt to into GPT basically and then see what it kind of outputs. Now, this is a game where you have to play around with it a bit, It's not going to be perfect, definitely, like I said, which is why, the prompt is quite a big thing. But for now, let's just play around with it. I want to create a new project and I want to enter that here. I want to make sure we chose VEO3. And in this case, I'm going to be doing 2 outputs. We might change this later, but for now, we're just going to see where this takes us first. And we'll kind of take it from there. So let's go ahead and actually generate this. And while this generates, because it does take a bit of time, not too long, maybe like a minute or two, but we can get ahead and actually start with the second scene. So in this case, the second scene is the ER chaos, which is cool. I like this a lot. The only thing I'll say here is we're going to make it inside the hospital for this specific scene. So I'm going to say this is scene 2, and then we're going to make it this should be inside the hospital. Doctors. So right now we have the second scene. All of it is basically add a bit more information on that this should be inside the hospital. So this will go ahead and generate, and then we'll get a prompt. And once again, guys, this is a very kind of iterative process, right? So I want to test a lot of different things. I want to, have a couple of different examples of how this looks. So for now, I'm just going to copy this as well. And we'll go into VEO3 and we'll begin generating our second scene as well. So we have fast 3 and we'll go ahead and generate that. So now I've got my 2 scenes loaded up. This should be done soon. And before I kind of move on to any different scenes, I first want to get an idea of what these generations looks like. And then we'll kind of move on. So it looks like the first one's being created right now. So let's have a look at what this looks like.
We've got a back-end collapse flow. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical.
Not horrible, but the voices are a bit off, to be honest. But the scene itself is not bad. And we have the agency owner on the stretcher. I think this is quite
We've got a
funny,
back-end
but,
collapse flow. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical.
That's not bad. That's not bad. The voice is just a bit off. The voice is actually very off, to be honest. And this one doesn't seem to be loading, so we'll give it a second for that one to load. I would usually refresh the page, but because these are generating, I don't want to mess anything up. So I'm just going to wait for these guys to load, and then we'll have a look at all the 4 different prompts. One thing that just then came to mind, by the way, guys, obviously we are using VEO3 fast at the moment, so the outputs are not going to be as good. However, you know, what I like to do anyways is I like to get an idea of what these prompts look like using VO3 fast. And then if it does come to the point where I actually want to use the final clip in an actual commercial, I'd probably generate the same one using VO3 quality, and the video quality will be a bit better, and I obviously get a better understanding of what the scene actually looks like. But at least I get to test this out with fast without using too many credits, because you're limited to 12.5k on the ultra plan, and on a free plan it's even less. I think it's about 1,000 credits, which is 10 videos, which is nothing. You can't do much with 10 videos. So let's wait for this to generate, and then we'll kind of review everything. We have this video has been produced. Immediately, first thing that kind of comes to mind is that the agency owner is different, right? But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we can have a couple different shops, different agency owners. I'm not too worried about that. But let's see what this generates, and then we'll have a look at this one, and then we'll kind of amend the prompts accordingly. All right, so we have all our scenes loaded up. Let's have a look at them and see what's going on. So just for context, this is the first one.
We've got a back-end collapse flow. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical.
Not bad, but the only reason I don't like this one is, even though the scene and everything is good, no one's actually saying these words, if that makes sense. If it was one of the ones that was actually saying this,
6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical,
then now it'd be cool. But at the moment, none of these nets are saying anything. Let's have a look at this one.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical. We've got a back-end collapse
This is
ready.
better, but once again, you can see no one's actually saying
6
these
SOPs
words.
missing. Team burnout critical.
So what I'll do is I'm just going to amend this prompt, right? I'm going to make sure that it knows that I want someone to actually say these words. So let's have a look and see what we can actually change here. All right, so the main thing I changed here is I removed a bit more detail at the start with the ambulance doors swinging open, because you don't want to give it too much detail. And I also made it clear that I wanted one of the paramedics in the shot carrying the stretcher, visibly straight and sweating, yells over the noise, "We've got a back-end collapse." So hopefully this should get one of the actual paramedics or nurses to actually say this, and we can get to see that on camera. But for now, I think we'll leave it as that, and we'll try to generate this and see what this comes up with. While this is loading, let's have a look at these prompts and see what we kind of generated here. So this is for the second scene right now. This is the first scene. This is the second scene. Let's have a look at what's going on.
What's the churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
What's the churn rate?
So this is not bad. Honestly, it always amazes me how cool this is. But this isn't bad. Obviously, you know, at the start it's a bit off where everyone's shot in a churn rate.
North of 20% and climbing.
He is also, I believe, the guy that's meant to be saying the churn rate's north of 20% and climb, but his lips don't really move, so it's not the best. But I like these kind of secondary shots here where you have the heart rate and you have him being checked out. So I think this is we can definitely use this for sure. And let's have a look at this one.
Churn rate. North of 20% and climbing. What's the churn rate?
Not bad again. Once again, not bad. I like this heart rate monitor. I like how it says Slack there. Like, it's all the bunch of like small things. And here it kind of looks like Slack on the right hand side as well.
North of 20% and climbing.
But not really kind of what we're looking for, if that makes sense. But one thing about this, guys, is that you'll notice when I kind of use these clips later on, I'm going to be taking a bunch from I'm going to be taking a lot of different clips from a lot of these different scenes. So, you know, even though you might think this is a complete waste of credits now, we can use this in an actual final product. Let's have a look at these new ones that has generated, and then hopefully we can move on to scene 3 and start kind of putting this together to get an idea of what this looks like. So you see, I made a mistake here. I didn't check my model. So in this case, I used VO2 fast, which we don't necessarily want. So let's go ahead and actually just reuse the prompt. Let's change this to VO3 fast, and that will load up. Apologies there, guys. I will probably get this to generate one more time as well, because some of these are all right, but I think we can generate something a bit better. So I'm just going to go ahead and reuse this specific prompt. I'm going to move once again a bit more detailed. So this is fine. I like how it's cut into the heart rate. I'm going to remove the slack side of things just to avoid, you know, making it too complicated basically. So apart from that, everything's cool. And think what I'll do here is I'm going to try to describe the same agency owner again, right? The same agency owner that we used in this specific prompt here. So in this case, I'm going to just click on this and I'm going to just copy this movement of the agency owner. This description, sorry, of the agency owner. So I'm going to put it here. So the agency owner landing on the stretcher, boom, just like that. And I'm just going to remove a bit more information here. We don't need that much. We just need an initial description, if that makes sense. And I'm not going to have someone off screen desperately yell, "What's the shirt rate?" I'm gonna have one of the nurses yell it again, so we'll see how that kind of comes up. So there you go. I just changed the prompt slightly. We'll see if it kind of generates a better output. But now let's just play around with this, because I mean, these scenes are not bad, definitely usable, just not ideal. Let's have a look at this one first.
We've got a back-end collapse. Oh, yeah. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical. We've got a back-end collapse.
So not
Oh, yeah.
horrible. I mean, first red flag is that I added the subtitles. Now it does do this sometimes. I don't encounter it that often, to be honest, but in this case it did. However, the second part of this video is very good, right? We don't have any
6 SOPs
subtitles.
missing. Team burnout critical.
So this is very good. And obviously the person, it kind of zooms into the agency owner and the person I'm saying this doesn't come up. So, you know, we can definitely use this. I think we're good for scene 1 now. Let's have a look at this one just in case, but so far I'm happy with this.
We've got a back-end collapse to know. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
Yeah, I mean, I like the initial shot of him being walked through. We can probably use that.
We've got a back-end collapse to know.
But in terms of that, I don't think, because he shouldn't be one that's saying it. I think we'll probably use this clip, but we can combine these two again. So happy with that. I mean, we can basically begin moving, creating this. But for now, let's quickly have a look at scene 3. And then what we're going to do now, guys, we're going to put everything together in a free video editing tool, which in this case, I'm going to be using CapCut. That's what we're going to be using to actually bring these clips together, get the right ones, and kind of make it a real life. But let's quickly have a look at this generation right here.
What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
Not
What's
bad.
his current churn rate?
North of 20% and
So in this case, you have the two characters being it. So this guy's asking what's the churn rate, and we have her saying, you know, nerf for 20% and climbing. So we can definitely use this, not bad. Let's quickly have a look at this one just in case, but for now, we'll kind of move on to CapCut.
what's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
What's his current?
Honestly, both of these are quite good. I'm going to have to see which one I kind of prefer using. The only thing here is that he
Churn
looks
rate.
very fake. Like, he doesn't look real. Whereas in this example, he looks a bit more real. Also, is different characters, which, you know, is not ideal. Once again, the character consistency is not there. But for now, let's go ahead and test it, guys. Let's just bring it to CapCut and see what we can kind of create. So I'm just going to load up CapCut, which is just a free video editing tool. Doesn't really matter which one you use. You can use Premiere Pro, Adobe, you know, whatever you usually use to kind of edit your videos, right? All right, so I've got my free video editing tool, and I'm going to start downloading some of these guys. Now, the best way to do it, to be honest, is to download it as the upscaled version. Now, in this case, you know, we have different options. You want to download it as a GIF, original size, and upscaled. I always recommend going for the upscale version because it looks a lot better, to be honest. So I'm just going to download all of these upscale. It might take a minute, but it'll be worth it when we actually get to the final shot. I don't think I'm going to use...
What's the churn rate?
I don't think I'm going to use any of these shots, at least for now. But these shots, I'm going to use both of these guys. So the upscaled version of this and the upscaled version of this. And then I'll also use these ones so I can make a selection as to which one I want to use later on with the options. So that's gone ahead and actually generated. Let's quickly have a look at the next scene, which in this case should be the senior doctor steps in. Okay, so I think I'll probably split this into two different scenes. I'll have one scene of him being called, maybe one scene of him stepping in, and then one scene of him kind of saying it. But let's have a look as to kind of what it generates. So a calm, experienced looking doctor walks in slowly. Describe the previous scene again here. Cool. So I like this concept. He glanced at the screen, pulls out a laptop and says, "Give me this girl dreams up now." Cool. So I like this. I'm just basically, I'm actually going to keep it as one scene. So he's going to walk in. He's going to say, "Hey, I know what's going on. Give me this skill prefab. Let's see what this kind of generates." And then we'll kind of go from there. In the meantime, these are starting to download. So we have 3 right now being downloaded, I believe. So we have Quantum 8 and 4. So let's just get this one as well, which is the last one we needed. Cool. And then as that loads in, let's just see what our prompt is doing. You kind of have to play around with this a bit. Cool. I think this is too much description again. We don't want to make it too complicated, if that makes sense. But once again, we'll test it out. We'll see what it kind of generates. And by the way, guys, I'm not an expert at this. You know, I'm still learning. I literally got access to this last week. But I just want to give you a behind the scenes look as to kind of how I created it, my thought process, different things like that. So let's have a look at this prompt. First, initial thoughts that there's too much going on, so I'm gonna have to delete a bit, but let's have a look through it. Emergency room remains in a state of controlled chaos. Fluorescent lights flicker above. Yeah, I'm gonna remove the Slack dashboard side of things. Yeah, I'm gonna remove that. Merger scramble the background. Doctor continues CPR. Attention grips air like a static. Okay. Suddenly the commotion starts, slows as new figure enters a frame. A calm, authorized senior doctor in his early 60s. He walks in slowly, deliberately pressing a pristine white coat. I'm going to change it to an orange coat because, you know, orange, I'm wearing orange. The scale proof agency is orange, just to make it nice and funny. A pristine orange coat with a navy blue undershirt. I'm going to change this to white undershirt. His salt and pepper hair is neatly combed. Presence alone seems to be in the room. I do think there's a lot going on in this prompt. I'm going to remove a bit more. All right, so we'll try this. And then in the meantime, while that's loading, let's go into CapCut and start importing our different scenes. All right, guys, so I just added in all my different scenes and let's see what we can kind of create. So this is all my initial scenes, which are the major ones, to be honest. I actually believe all of these are my initial scenes. Yeah, at least from my understanding. So we're going to add all of this in. And from this, we're going to basically make a selection as to which one we actually want to use. So let's go over this as it loads up. And hopefully you guys can still see this without any lag. I think this right here could be like a initial jump shot.
A back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
This was all right, but I think what my initial thoughts is we can use this as kind of the emergency one, with the guy screaming, we come in, and it kind of reveals him being carried off the ambulance.
We've got a back-end collapse to know. 6 SOPs missing. We've got a back-end collapse to know. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
So once again, I'm thinking we can use this as an initial shot without him getting up, and we'll probably have to mute it as well just to avoid any of the scenes. But this specific scene won't work here because he's talking. We don't want him to be talking. So let's just go ahead and...
Critical.
We might use this last one over here, but for now, let's delete this. And then let's have a look at this one.
We've got a back-end collapse flow. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
Yeah, I don't think this is usable, so for now I'm just going to delete this. I don't see any clips you can get from here.
We've got a back-end collapse. Oh, yeah. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
Okay, so I like this. I think I remember. I like the second part of this.
6 SOPs.
Cool. So at the moment, let's see what we have. We have the initial panic.
We've got a back-end collapse ready.
And then...
SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
Then him being carried out in the hospital. Him being...
6 SOPs missing.
What I might do, I'm going to see if we can join these together and how that looks.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
It's not bad. It's not bad because I do like this generation right here. I think the quality looks amazing here.
Back-end collapse.
However, I'm thinking if it's worth to keep it.
6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
Or if it's better off just keeping that initial kind of shame shot. I'm going to try one more thing and we'll kind of see how this looks. If not, I'll just keep it. But for now, this is our scene 1.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. We've got a back-end... 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
Yeah, I think the only one that makes sense would be to have it either together or the original clip. Let's have a look at what this looks like.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
You know what? This actually doesn't look that bad. What I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this frame if it allows me to do that. I'm sure there's a way to do it like that. And that makes more sense because they're both on this side. Let's have a look what that looks like.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical.
That's not bad at all, actually. I think that was quite clean.
We've got a...
And this can be the second scene of them dragging into the hospital. So cool. I think we'll delete this and we'll keep it as that. And then we'll probably edit this a bit more. So that's our scene 1. That's basically the initial scene of them kind of being brought in. We can add this initial panic here, but I don't think it's necessary, to be honest, because we have it over here. Yeah, I think the rest is good, to be honest. Cool. So this is our initial scene. Let's have a look at what VEO3 generated in this case. And then this is for the new scene, basically. And we can start working on scene 2 as well.
Get me the scale-proof agency H-Hub. Now, before it's too late.
Not bad, not great. I didn't like how he said H-Hub, but not horrible.
Get me the scale-proof agency H-Hub. Now, before it's too late.
This is good. I like this. I mean, both of these are quality, to be honest. Both of these are quality. We can even use these different shots here.
Get me the scale-proof agency.
Get me the scale-proof agency H-Hub. Now, before it's too late.
You know what? I really don't like the H-Hub side of things. I really don't like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this. I'm going to get it to generate again. And I'm going to, rather than saying hub in capitals, I'm going to put it as hub. So give me the scale-proof agency hub. And I might even add community, to be honest. Give me the scale-proof agency hub community now before it's too late. Cool. I think I like this. Let's see what this generates and then we make sure. See, you have to be careful because it will switch you to VEO3 fast. So let's go ahead and do this. And now we can work on scene 3 in the meantime. But honestly, both of these prompts are all right. They're both of them are usable. The only annoying thing here is I added subtitles, but to be honest, I prefer this one anyway. So I'm just going to download this one because even if we don't use it now, we can use it later. So I'm going to download the upscaled version. Now let's begin building out scene 2 in CapCut. By the way, bear with me guys, because at the end, hopefully this will look good. But we already have our files imported in, and this is the two ones we have to deal with right now. So let's plug this in. And let's plug this one in as well. And let's have a look at what these wires are. So remember, the last scene we have is
We've got
him being carried out.
churn rate.
North of 20% and climbing. What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
Well, I think we can use all of these scenes. Let's keep this one for sure. I'm deciding about which one of these kind of looks better.
What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing. What's his...
To be honest, I think I'm going to use this one instead. I think it looks a bit cleaner. So we have him being carried out. Then we have a new agency owner being carried out here. And then we have a heart rate monitor here. What I might do, it could even be wise to move these around.
We've got...
So just cut this bit out a bit more.
We've got...
So that's that guy, right? And then we have a new guy being carried in.
What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
You see? So now we have two different characters already being introduced, which isn't the worst thing ever. And once again, we're going to amend this in a second with music and whatnot. But for now, I'm happy with this. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll probably leave it as that. Let's move on to the new scenes here.
Now before it's too late.
Okay, so you didn't even say the lyrics in this case. Let's see what this one did.
Get me the scale-proof agency hub community. Now before it's too late. Get me the scale-proof agency hub community. Now before it's too late.
Not bad. Not bad.
Now before it's too late.
I mean, this one's definitely Abyss. But if I had to ask between these two, which ones I preferred?
Get me the scale-proof agency H-hub. Now before it's too late.
I'd definitely go for this one. So thankfully, we already downloaded that, so we can add it to our scene. And then we have our doctor coming in. So let's play the whole thing from the start, just to get a better idea of what this whole thing looks like.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing. Team burnout critical. We've got... What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
Get me the scale-proof agency H-hub. Now before...
And what I'm thinking here, we can maybe add something that's like, there's only one thing that can save them, like a narrator voice here, kind of, if that makes sense. I don't know if it'll let me add it in because I'm already recording here, but let's have a quick look. There's only one thing that can save them. So let's see if I just to get an idea. It doesn't have to be official, right? But there's only one thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency H-hub. Now before it's too late.
Like that, and you know, we'll kind of go from there. Let's see what other scenes were. But honestly, I'm quite happy with this. It's kind of like a mini commercial. And I don't want to make this video too long, so I don't want to make too many unnecessary scenes. But let's see what's next. The recovery. Yeah, to be honest, I like that. Yeah. So we need to build these two scenes. I mean, these are two great. Right. So let's get the first one in now. VEO3. We'll generate a prompt. The same. Describe. I want to say describe the doctor again. You know, the tough bit is not going to use the same doctor. So I'm thinking we can get like a behind the shot of the doctor, so it doesn't include his face, and it's much more likely to see a bit more realistic. So get a shot of the back of the doctor as he drags of the doctor in orange. I'm going to ask it to actually describe the doctor again. And actually, you know what? I'm being a bit lazy here. Let me just get the actual description, just to avoid any confusion. Cool. We'll just get that same description in the prompt, and we'll leave it as that for now. And let's see what this kind of generates. But my idea here is I want doctors to basically pretend to be clicking on different resources and whatnot. And then from that will kind of be the recovery of the patient, I guess. So over the shoulder shot. Nice. Yep. Okay. We're just going to focus on the initial bit now. We don't need to focus on the other bit because that's going to be the second scene, basically. So for now, let's go ahead and actually just add the interview free. And then while that loads up, we'll work on the last scene, which is basically the recovery of the agency owner. So just add this in. Once again, let's double check this is VEO3. Perfect. I'm going to change it to them, actually. Cool. So let's see what this kind of produces. And then in the meantime, we can work on our second to last prompt, which is the actual agency owner making a recovery. Do we keep the client? So it just wakes up, the agency owner wakes up. I'm going to say describe the agency owner again. Did we keep the client? I'm going to say wakes up in the hospital bed. I'm going to make it something funny, like, I don't know, he's wearing like an orange cloak or something. And rather than full pipeline, I'm going to say full automation, just to make it a bit more relevant. Cool. So let's see what this kind of produces. And that's basically our last scene. And then after that, we'll be able to put everything together and hopefully launch this, guys. Let's have a look what this kind of produces first, along with the VEO3 prompt, which is still loading. All right, so we have our first one being carried in.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? That's better. We might save them.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is a great shot, honestly. And he's even clicking, it says skill proof roadmap. I mean, this is wild, guys. Let's have a look at this one.
Automated onboarding, streamlined fulfillment. That's better. We might save them.
Both of these are good shots. Both of these are good shots.
Automated onboarding?
But the voice sounds a lot better in this one.
Streamlined fulfillment? That's better. We might save them.
Yeah, I'm going to go for this one, for sure. For sure. And you can see less of his face, so it'll be a bit better. But both of these are great, honestly, guys. Both of these are great shots. Let's just get in our last prompt, and then we should be good to go. Our last and final prompt, hopefully. And then we're going to go ahead and add it. And at the end of this, we're also going to track how many credits we spent on this whole thing and how much time it took. Because once again, you got to see the whole process from start to finish. And hopefully the end product won't look too bad after all. So let's have a look while this kind of generates. This kind of downloads. We'll go ahead and add it into CapCut, guys. All right, so our video over here just downloaded. So let's go add it into our video editing tool. So we're just going to import this in. All right, and let's see what this kind of looks like from this point over here.
Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? That's better. We might save them.
You're not horrible. I don't like the way these two shots are kind of going over each other, because it's clear that he's a different person, if that makes sense. And there's not really anything happening between these two different shots. But I might just be being picky, to be honest. Let's have a kind of a quick look through it. There's only one thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? That's better. We might save them.
Okay, so I think we definitely need something in between these two different scenes. It could be another one of them rushing. I think we have another shot of him being carried out, don't we? We have this over here, but I think we used that one already. So what I might do, I might move this one in between here and see how that kind of performs.
We've got, what's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
There's only one
Get
thing
me the
that can save
scale-proof
them.
agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Streamlined fulfillment? That's better. We might save them.
Okay, so that's not bad. I prefer that much more, to be honest, because it didn't make sense to go from here to here. At least we have something in the middle where, for example, they're getting the reports and whatnot. Let's have a look at the final generation.
Did we keep the client?
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually slept last night.
Yeah, amazing.
Did we keep the client?
Amazing.
Did we keep the client?
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually slept last night.
Did we
Both of these are great.
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually
keep the client?
This looks a bit more real though, so I'm gonna go for this one. But honestly, both of these are great, guys. Every single time I do this, every single time I generate one of these prompts, I keep on getting more and more amazed that this is actually completely AI generated. I mean, remember the video of kind of Will Smith eating spaghetti? That wasn't too long ago, guys. All right, let's have a look at this. Let's start cleaning this up a bit more. So we have an scene.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical.
Oh, let's just cut this out a bit more.
6 SOPs. Back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical. We've got, what's his current churn rate?
And this also needs to be cut out a bit more.
Cool.
And this isn't full screen. Sometimes it does do that. So we want to actually go ahead and crop it if we can. Dun, dun, dun. Just by scaling it up to make it actually fit in the scene, right?
Critical. What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
There's only one thing that can save them. There's only one. And you hear the little crackle at the start. We can go ahead and cut that out as well. We don't want that. There's only one thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? Ah, that's better. We might save them.
Yeah, that's fine. And then let's get in that last shot, which hopefully is downloaded. Looks like it is. All right. And if we just drag this on over here.
Fulfillment? Ah, that's better. We might save them. Did we keep the client?
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually slept last night.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that could be the end of our scene. But cool, guys. I mean, we're at this point now. There's a lot more we can do and a lot more we should do just to kind of clean up a bit more. One thing that I found worked very well was adding some sort of background music.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical.
What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
There's only one thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? Ah, that's better. We might save them. Did we keep the client?
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually slept last night.
All right, so it's gonna be tough to find some music to kind of match this, to be honest. All right, this can be an initial one, guys. I just chose this random song. I don't even know what this is, to be honest. But it's a bit tense, right?
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing.
Kind of building up to
team
the
burnout
tense
critical.
situation. Once again, I'm not an expert at this, guys. I'm just having a bit of
What's his
fun.
current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
There's only one thing that can save them. And then here, maybe we can have like we'll stop the music here, right? This music, we'll have it kind of go down a bit. And then we're going to have a record scratch, one thinking here, when obviously the narrator comes in and says, there's only one thing that can save them. And then we'll have a different type of music. So let's see if I can actually find a record scratch. I think we should have one here. Yeah, perfect. Let's big it down. I think it's going to be way too loud. There's only one thing that can save them. And then, you know what we can actually do? We can actually potentially pause this for a second. There's only one thing that can save them.
Get me this.
I like that idea quite a lot, actually. So we go over here. We're going to freeze this frame over here while he kind of narrates this. There's only one thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
And that can be like, here we can have some tense music. And then some happy music here, right? So let's go ahead and try to do that. I'm going to look for some songs again. I'm going to add it in. All right, so I found this random song. Once again, this is just for this initial snippet right here of him actually saying the stuff. So what we can do, we can start it a bit earlier and just make it kind of can save them. When they start moving. One thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB.
So make it a bit shorter because I want it to be the tense moment when he actually says it. So over here.
Can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency.
Even a bit further back, to be honest.
Get me the scale-proof agency. Get me the scale.
And right before he says it, I want it to cut out. So right about here, we'll just enter it like that.
Thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB.
Even a bit further back. Keep on going back and back. Like that. A bit more forward.
Get me the scale. Get me the scale.
So this is where it cuts out. So it doesn't make it clear over here. So it should be over there.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB.
And let's zoom in a bit more so we can see the actual drop here.
Get me the scale-proof A.
Bit more.
Get me the scale-proof. Get me the scale-proof. Get me the.
That can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
And then here's when we can add like some rock music or something. Right, just to make it exciting, right? Once again, guys, I'm playing around with this. I don't really know what I'm doing. Or even some jazz music, right? Something happy, basically. And we can add this to us when he starts speaking right over here. We're just going to make it kind of glide in a bit.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Like that.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? Ah, that's better. We might save them. Did we keep the client?
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually slept last night.
And then here can be the post-credit scene, kind of. You know what? I'm happy with this, guys. I think I'm going to leave it as that. So let's just get our final product here. And then once again, I don't know if you guys, you probably didn't see this in the intro, so we can kind of watch this along. We might have to add some more sound effects here, but let's have a quick walkthrough and then we'll see what we need to add. But I think it should be good to go. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
We've got a back-end collapse ready. 6 SOPs missing, team burnout critical.
What's his current churn rate?
North of 20% and climbing.
There's only one thing that can save them.
Get me the scale-proof agency HUB. Now before it's too late.
Automated onboarding? Streamlined fulfillment? Ah, that's better. We might save them. Did we keep the client?
You've got a full automation build, and your team actually slept last night.
And this can be a shout out to the community. Do I think this is the best thing ever? No. And if I had more time on it, I would change quite a lot. Like, I don't think this kind of emphasized the whole, what we actually have in the community after. But we could add like a short animation or text at the end that kind of showcases that. But I don't think it's the best example of something kind of promoting the community. But I think it's a funny commercial. And I think the most important bit that you guys go away from this is you got an idea of what this actually looks like in action. Like what the complete behind the scenes is, how you can make it something that actually, comes together. Because remember, this was the initial clips that we had, right? These random clips. And to be honest, they got a lot better towards the end of it. The beginning was quite horrible.
We've got a back-end collapse. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the beginning was horrible, but you get to kind of put these clips together, use them for different things, and eventually you get a really good output, which is not the best thing in the world, but something you could use in an ad. I could easily use it as an ad.
Automated onboard.
And, even if it's just a hook, whether it's a YouTube video, whatever, putting it together, I think it's just amazing. It's amazing. Every single time I use this, I'm mind blown like at what AI can actually do. And now it comes down to the important bit. How many credits do we actually use? So we have 7,960 credits left. I think we started with about 8,200, but I have the editor just say what we started off with the credits and what we ended up with, and that's how many credits we consumed, which is not bad at all, guys. Not bad at all, especially given the fact that we already did. How many prompts did we actually use to do the whole thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 prompts to create that whole thing. I mean, wild. Absolutely unbelievable, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I covered today. Hopefully it was quite self-explanatory. Let me know what you actually think of the final commercial as well. Me personally, I'm a hardest critic, so I think there's a lot more we can add to this. But once again, I hope this gives you an idea of what you can actually do with this amazing tool and these different kind of things that over time it's just going to keep getting better and better. Like one of the massive things that we don't have access to right now is the scene builder, specifically for VEO3. So for example, the ability to extend scenes, it doesn't exist right now for VEO3. As you can see, if I try to do it, it's going to recommend me to something else. Just like that, it's going to switch me to another model, and then from that, it's switching me over to VEO2. But once we get the ability to extend scenes, once we get the ability to add ingredients to video so we can have consistent characters or consistent backgrounds, and once we have the ability to add frames to video, then this is going to get so much better because we'll be able to build actual storylines. We'll be able to have consistent characters across different shots rather than having the same character or having to describe the same character and have these smart little differences. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to let me know. And please let me know your feedback. I really would appreciate it. Also, I did a whole advertisement for the Scale-Proof Agency Hub. So if you're an established agency owner and you want to look at different ways you can integrate AI, automation, and just general operational insights into your agency to improve your backend systems, give your clients a better experience, and give your teams a better better experience, then check out the agency hub. We got all of our resources from all our different videos on there. I mean, literally over have a 100+ different templates on there. It's pretty insane, and over time the community is just going to keep on growing. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any feedback, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.